So this is the koha-US general meeting. We have these every month. They are the first Wednesday of the month. And they are, I know at this time it's 10:30 Central Time is when we have those. Pretty sure. I feel like it's 9:30 Mountain Time, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So we have these monthly. And we've really been, the last couple of years, been trying to make them as useful as possible. So we'll be talking about some of that today. This is kind of our chance with a big audience to kind of advertise some of the stuff we've been doing and try to make that as, I'll just say, like before, a few years ago, we were doing more along the lines of just talking about business, and you can attend our board meeting that's the following Wednesday if you really like the business portion, the inner workings of the koha-US organization. But we are trying to make the general meeting a little bit more exciting. One of the things that we do every meeting is we start with announcements, and those can be anything, something happening in your library, something happening in the world of koha. So I will ask, does anybody have any announcements that they would like to share? We'll give you a microphone and everything. Lizette has one.
I was at koha-US Solutions, and one thing that I've been doing a lot this year is updating our crowdfunding website. So we have a lot of really exciting crowdfunding opportunities. And so if that's something that you're interested in, if you check out koha-solutions.com/crowdsourcing, you can see all the exciting things we've got out there.
Yes, if Bugzilla is a little overwhelming with all the various things there, it's a much easier place to kind of go shopping for things that you could actually contribute to, and in some ways are already partially funded. Any other announcements?
Annie has muttered to herself over here that everyone should go fund sorting by enumcron. You're welcome.
All right, if there's no other announcements, we're going to move on. We're going to start by talking about open board positions. So every year we have elections, and it's nice to see new blood come into the organization. There's been a lot of people that have been involved over the years, but getting fresh perspectives is something that we look forward to as well. So we will have elections coming up. So multiple people can be nominated or nominate themselves, but we have some open positions. So first off, I'm going to turn this over to Georgette, our current treasurer, to talk a little bit about what the treasurer does.
Well, I help John. I'm Georgette, I'm sorry, Joe Rogers up there. And I help John, who's our financial manager. I order the supplies that were in your bags. I order the bags. I put together the financial report that I give to the board on the monthly meeting. So it's just an assistant helping John, making sure registration, the filing of the taxes, and just a variety of helping to get the financial part of this going and ordering the supplies and making sure that people have a good conference.
And all these positions are voting members, so when we do have a vote, the treasurer would be included in that. Another position opening up is member at large supported. And Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael Adamic, and I'm the member at large for the supported libraries. And mainly what I do is I serve as the representative for libraries that are supported, and if they have questions or concerns that they want the board to address, they can contact me, and I'm kind of that voice. The main thing is attending meetings other than that, which are monthly. And, we talked about imposter syndrome the other day. And when I started this, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know Koha that well. And it's been awesome. It was scary the first 6 months or so. So if you're interested, please sign up.
And then every year, we definitely need to elect a vice president. The vice president turns into the president. So this year's vice president is Andrew.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm the vice president. Boy, I'm not sure how to summarize the vice presidential duties. Be helpful to the president and try to watch what they're doing and not freak out too much about the fact that you'll have to do it all next year.
So yeah, so I will be outgoing as president, and I will say it is doable. I have done it. During this time, I also had a child and still did my other job and my other job that I also do, and this. So it's probably doable. So I would say that it's not impossible, and you do have help. That's what the board is there for. That's what committees are there for. And to be on the committee, you don't have to be on the board. So I would encourage people who want to get involved, and maybe they don't want to get on the board this year, but join a committee, join the conference committee, join the education committee, start attending SIGs. There's lots of things that you can do to kind of dip your toe in the water. I know for me personally, the first thing Jesse said, you have to do the consortia SIG, and made me do that. And I did it. And for a while there, it was just Jason and I catching up because nobody else was attending. So eventually people started to show up, and it was at the conference in Lawrence where I really enjoyed the conference, and I thought I should actually get a little bit more. Well, that was when I decided I had already been on the board in Michael's position as the member at large supported. But as Michael said, that's primarily attending meetings and things like that. So I thought I could step up and do a little bit more than this. So I was inspired by that. So hopefully some of you are inspired either online or in person here to get a little bit more involved. There's a variety of things you can do, the board just being one of them. I'll also mention we have a member at large unsupported. That we have had somebody in that role. They have not been able to attend a lot of meetings, so there's a possibility that we may be just finishing that term out. So it'd be a 1-year commitment on that particular one. But you'll see that on the ballot or you won't when that comes out. So we'll determine that a little bit later. Another thing we wanted to talk about, and this came up earlier, was signing up for Mattermost. We have had a koha-US Slack channel that we've been using, and we are going to retire that because the international conversation is now happening over on Mattermost. So I just put together a link and some slides. If you haven't signed up, it's pretty easy to do. You just follow the link I have up here, and then create username, password, and then once you're in the Koha community, you can find koha-US, the channel for koha-US, and we have there are several other things you can follow as well, and everything's open. So you can, like, I'm following the development one, the town square one, and social you automatically get signed up for. If you're going to Con 24 next month, you can sign up for that channel, and you can sign up for some of the international channels if you want to read in German what people are thinking about Koha. Most of it, I will say, is in English, but that's where another good way to kind of dip your toe in the water and just see what people are talking about out there and potentially get some questions answered. So I highly recommend signing up for that.
Okay, one of the like actual specific duties of the vice president is to have the development committee. And one of the things the development committee does, really, the thing the development committee does is find an enhancement that we want to fund, that we want to pay somebody to code. We try to do one a year. Last year, we finished out an enhancement to allow batch self-check through the Koha web-based self-check. Thank you for everybody who helped with that. I hope you're all enjoying that new feature. And now with that done, we're looking to figure out what we want to do next. We're going to have a vote on that in September, and all members are welcome to vote. We have a little bit of a question this year because we have roughly $4,000 to spend on an enhancement or on a development. That funding comes mostly from the, what's it called? The exercise thingy.
Community challenge.
Yes, the community challenge. Some of that money is membership fees though too, and if we make a profit on the conference, sometimes we have some extra money that we don't spend. That all goes back primarily into development because we don't have a ton of other admin costs. So with that dollar amount, we've landed in kind of a funny spot. We put together a short list of enhancements recommended by koha-US members, the things they would like to see Koha learn to do. And most of them are a little bit out of our price range, as you can see down the side there. Some of those have some money already committed to them. There's nothing, aside from the first one, there's not anything we can necessarily just fund right out of hand, but we do have the option, as I just mentioned, the Bywater crowdfunding page. We have the option to commit some of that money and hope that other libraries or entities meet us there and we reach full funding and then the work goes forward. So I want to talk through these 4 bugs we're thinking about, and then the 5th option is to not commit any money anywhere, just sit on that $4,000 and have more money next year to like fully fund something. But the 4 options we put together, first, the ability to bulk edit suspended holds via the OPAC. That's the wording that was on the bug this comes from, and I think it's slightly misleading. It's really the ability to bulk for patrons to bulk, suspend, and unsuspend their holds via the OPAC. That sounds cool. The second one, we've already talked about some today. Looking for Jason. There he is. Jason, like you think very hard about giving batch record modification the ability to edit mark indicators. And this was phrased also as making the mark modification templates use template toolkit instead of the interesting and idiosyncratic interface that Jason showed us yesterday, which could be neat. Like that could be a more powerful interface. The next one is to auto update linked patrons. So if you have like family cards in your system and you change the address of a parent, should all of the related cards also get their address updated automatically? Some general nodding in the audience, mostly from public librarians. Makes sense. And then the last one is the ability to move holds between records. So this is somewhat, it is fun to watch the people who get excited and like say things. Christy's clapping in her seat. This would be like if maybe your library makes an on-order bib record and all the holds end up there, and then later you create the real bib record and you've got 50 holds on the new James Patterson that all need to be on this bib instead of that bib. And right now some poor soul needs to like move those manually. This would give you the ability to move those over in bulk. Okay, so with that in mind, will the thing go? It didn't go, guys. This was supposed to pop up a little thing for you to vote, and it worked earlier. Let me see if I can figure it out. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, I see what happened. It's all possible. Don't tell him. Yeah, it needs to be like 5 left. You click a couple things. This will be totally worth it, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm in the wrong folder.
Me
Jeez, I'm in like the wrong. I went to Portsmouth.
Yeah, nice place.
Yeah, it was a fine conference. My slides are not there though.
There's also worse things out there. Bad eye research was a fine conference.
No, I mean, let's talk about the word fine.
You
No, I didn't mean fine, I meant fine.
Decent.
In the British sense.
It's decent.
Ooh, okay.
Uh,
So this is the non-binding straw poll. Bob was quick to tell me that as an Iowan, I love straw polls. We're all into straw polls in Iowa. So please, if you wish, you have a QR code you could scan or an address you could go to and give it this poll number.
We have to be a koha member.
You have to be a koha-US member to vote.
but not in the straw poll, right?
It's not in the straw.
On the straw poll,
Is this the
and
straw poll?
you were still welcome as a non-member to attend any of the meetings. You did, the big difference would be voting, but the barrier to entry to become a koha-US member is not too difficult. It is a $35? $25, a low price of $25. So, and again, that money you're spending will go back into this sort of thing, the vast majority of it. So it's money that's going to help the community.
We have two of them or just one?
You should only need to vote for one. See, I need to make a decision. Oh, guys, I left granular catalog information on my previous slide. It's a surprise candidate.
Yeah.
I would just say you guys are awesome so far.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Feels like Matt's singer.
Not just you guys, everyone.
I don't know how to do with unsolicited compliments.
So as we're seeing these results unfold, I feel like Jason had made his case great and really convinced people how important the park modification templates are. That's Christy.
Just a question, so are we narrowing down results by?
We are not, this is completely non-binding. This is just a fun activity that we're all having fun doing.
Really, I thought here was that it would be a nice opportunity to talk a little bit about what these all are, instead of just you get an email in September that says, please go to a website and vote on a thing. I also encourage you all to take the opportunity of this conference to talk to people about why you like the thing you like, because there will be voting on this that will determine where our funds go. We have some strong opinions. So this is Christy's chance to tell everybody they want to do the whole thing instead of Jason's smart modification thing.
Heather is pleading online, make it binding, make it binding.
If you would like to be more involved in this conversation, please come to the development committee meetings. And honestly, come to the general meeting in September, where we will be talking about the fact that we'll be voting on this, and we'll give everybody a little soapbox.
When are the development committee meetings?
Well, that's a really good
Thursday,
the third Thursday, yeah.
11 o'clock Central.
The koha-US website has a really nice calendar page. It remembers all of these things for me. And has nice links to the meetings. I don't know, I can't remember times. I remember resources that I can consult for the information I need.
All right, I think we have our straw poll answer.
Yeah, and it does.
A strong leader.
We have a lot of cataloging people most excited about indicators.
So,
Anyway,
Any election, it's rigged.
but no stress if you're pet development didn't get picked, you have plenty of time to advocate before actual voting begins.
I think it was biased. Jason didn't talk about the others.
I will say also, all of these things are on the Bywater crowdfunding page, or if they're not there, they will be there. So even if koha-US doesn't fund one of these, talk to your library, talk to your librarian friends. This is not your only venue to pursue one of these enhancements. It's just it's the one that we do. That will make it a little easier for you.
I know the consortia say the granular cataloging permissions is a monthly topic of discussion. And trying to, the library that wants to do that has done a good job of advocating for why that's important. So, yeah, there are opportunities available to everyone.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to run away now.
Oh, someone's drinking.
All right, another thing that we're hoping as you're enjoying this conference, you might actually consider, hey, maybe I should have this at my library, in my community. So we will be putting out a site proposal request fairly soon. We've already built the form. I've got a picture of it. It says in the fine print that proposals are due by October 31st. And I just put on a few things that are probably not complete, but just some of the factors that we're looking for in a site proposal. So probably the most important thing is we need the equivalent of a Rhonda who is doing it this year, or a Sarah who did it last year in Portsmouth, or a George who did it the year before in Lawrence. Somebody that can make all the local arrangements, because the committee does not all live in the community we're likely to have the conference in. So that's a key one. We generally hold these between July and September. A room like this is, we've done it in smaller spaces, but this is a really good representative room where there's room for easily more people could be fit in here. But in the last few years, we've been steady around kind of 70 in person. And then we need the ability to bring in our friends online and have the hybrid conference. So there are some technology requirements with that. And if anybody's interested in, we can get more info about. But other things that we really like to get assistance from other staff, and we've been getting that here at Round Rock, as you've noticed. Having an airport that's close is very nice. Makes it a little easier to travel to get here and all that. And then being able to have people stay somewhat near the conference, important. And then also, I would say, I didn't put it on here, but nearby restaurants that people can go get lunch to, because we typically have not provided lunches for you all, so you can go out and explore the area and actually enjoy the town that we're having the conference in. So that's an important piece. And then we don't always do breakout sessions or a dual track conference, but we have. So knowing that that's an option is helpful. And depending on kind of the presentations we get and what the conference committee wants to do that year, it's not a need, but it's nice to know if we can do that. So if you are thinking of a space in your library or your community that kind of meets this criteria and you want to have that out, this is another, have us join you in your community. You can fill out a site proposal in the forum when that comes out. This is, again, another thing that does get voted on. So that is a membership. The membership votes on this. So if we have multiple proposals, and I think in one year we had 4, the year we selected McKinney, we had 3 other proposals. So yeah, it's so that voting on that can happen. If we just have one proposal that meets everything, then we'll likely just have it in that community.
So campsites are off the grid.
I mean, the technology would be difficult. If there's like some sort of satellite way to beam things in, we could maybe consider campsites, but I think most people don't want to sleep into a tent and then do a presentation the following day.
Oh, come on,
There we go.
challenge.
All right, it's time for another thing we like to do during our general meeting that happens this time of year is the 5-year koha-US member certificates, which John is now moving to get the pins and the certificates up to me. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. So these are members that have in good standing, that have been with us for 5 years. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the organization is essentially 10 years old. So being around for 5 of the 10 years is pretty good. So if you are not in attendance, we will get these out to you. But Michael, would you like to come up and see your membership award and your attractive pin? I have my pin on my computer case. Wally, come on up.
About time.
There you are. John Drucker. We will get that to him. I know Robin Hastings is not here. And Heather is joining us online, so we will hold this up to the camera. Candace Hope, I believe, is not here. And Barry Weaver, come on up, Barry. One of the exciting things that I just noticed, every one of the 5-year recipients that are here in person are also presenters, which is pretty cool. So I skipped ahead a little bit as I was pressing buttons. One thing I did want to go over was, I mentioned earlier we are attempting to make these general meetings as useful as possible. So I wanted, this year I should say, well, we started with this last year, and this was one of Christopher's big initiatives, was to talk more about issues facing libraries, bugs, things like that. So that is still a part of all of our general meetings. One of the things I've tried to do this year was bring in interesting people to talk to us. And so here's a list of people that have come. We had in February, Kelly came and talked to us about that particular upgrade. They talked to us about kind of how Koha development works in a broader sense. And that while those are two Bywater people, we are a organization that wants to hear from all over. So we invited Jennifer Weston to talk about Equinox, how they work with Koha, and not limiting it to just vendors. Christy shared with us a mini presentation about the Koha news tool and how Cuyahoga is using that. Andrew Ald joined us from PTFS Europe. And Katrin Fischer she lives in Germany, and she joined us to talk about her work as a release manager and doing Koha quality assurance. August, we are here. We have a couple booked for the next few months. Mark Noble and Jordan Fields, who recently at Bywater, they have they have a development company for Aspen. Even though that's not Koha, it is open source. And as we raised the hands earlier, a lot of people use Aspen as well. So we're going to hear a little bit about the open source community and how that all works on the Aspen side of things. And then October, Ola Anderson, he heads the Swedish Koha user group, and it was last fall, I believe, or last winter, Christopher and I joined their user group and talked to them a little bit about what we're doing here in the US. And I think we might have a few people joining us throughout the conference online from Sweden, because we talked about how we were going to be doing this conference. But Ola joined us for a recent board meeting and is going to talk to us a little bit about that. Now, just because the calendar year ends and I am not booking these things anymore, doesn't mean that we don't want to have other guests. So that could be anything. It could be any of you that have ideas. Maybe it's something that's shorter that maybe doesn't make sense for a future Koha conference, but we still want to see cool, interesting things being done with Koha, or hear about various ways that the open source community and the Koha community are working. So please consider letting us know if you have an idea like that you want to share. We're really only doing like anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. So short presentation, just an ability to just get some information out there. All right. I mentioned a few minutes ago that we are in our 10th year, so we're going to do a little retrospective here, and some of our early president and vice president duos are not here at the conference in person, but as we go a little further, we're going to get to some that are, as you can see. So the 2015 was our official first year that we had these positions listed, and you may recognize, we mentioned Robin with the 5-year membership, but Nick also still very involved with the community. I think the reason he never became president is he went to work at Bywater. So we had to get so Robin did double duty and was president the following year. But
She was real happy about that too.
she's not our only double president, because you can see 2018 Christopher was an early president. So Christopher, will get you a microphone and you can share a couple thoughts on some memory you have during your time with koha-US.
Let's see here. Let me step over here because
I thought you were going to avoid the camera.
I enjoyed doing this a lot. I was a person that was kind of a wallflower. I didn't like to get up in front of crowds. And working at the library, I learned to speak in front of people and be a little bit more comfortable. I had a great boss that really gave me freedom to do more and to try new things and to be a little bit more brave about the things I'm trying. And so I got involved in koha-US right from the start, and I felt like I had something to contribute. So I got involved and became the vice president in 2017 and took over in 2018. And I didn't break anything. So 2 years later, did it again. So it was fun enough to do twice. I've learned a lot, met a lot of great people, still meeting great people, even though I'm not president any longer, but it's really enjoyable. I think that it has given me an opportunity to kind of put my mark in this community and with the organization. And it's nice to see the things that some of the things that I instituted that are still going. You know, it doesn't all go the way that I think it should go. And that's the beauty of, having more people join in, because we get to pick the things that work and the things that don't can fall off, and that's okay. And as long as you can feel comfortable with that, that's, that's the part of being a part of the board and part of committees and SIGs is you just get to contribute and, see what transforms out of that. And so it's just been fun.
Thank you, Christopher. And while Christopher was president twice, I did tell him he didn't have to recite that speech twice. So up next is George Williams, who became president in 2019.
Do I have to stand up too?
You already have.
I'm not gonna stand right in front of the screen though, because standing up here yesterday, that light just drives me nuts. What I remember about being vice president and president, things that I remember accomplishing really were getting the domain name organized, and we joined TechSoup, which enabled one of the things that one of the ways that Eccles has been contributed to this organization early on is for years we were always meeting in the Eccles Zoom account. And so one of the things we organized after we got in TechSoup was we were able to buy our own Zoom account. And then we were able to do the conference. When I was vice president, it was the international conference in Portland. And then the conference in 2019 was in Pueblo, which was, that was the first time I met Bob in person. But we did a lot of, a lot of this stuff those first few years was getting the organization into a footing where we were a 501(c) and we had a website and we had a way to meet. And there was a lot of stuff going on in the back end then and getting bylaws set up so that we could do memberships and things like that. So that's a lot of what I remember about my time as president was getting kind of the organization organized. So
I will say I was in Portland as well, but you looked really busy, so I got out of your way.
And then Lizette took over. So
yeah, we're gonna hand the mic to Lizette.
So we had essentially indirectly 3 people from Idaho in a row because I moved from Idaho to Kansas and then started doing this in Kansas. Christopher's from Idaho, and so I moved from Idaho, and then Lizette was working in a library in Idaho, even though she lived in Pullman, Washington, which is.
So I was president in 2020, and that was a very exciting year to be president. One thing that we had already had planned for early in 2020 was in April, we did an online conference, which was a lot bigger than we had expected because everybody was at home. But it was great because we ended up having to take our conference online in the fall as well, because it was still pretty locked down for people. And so we had the online together conference, and Jason was a huge help with both of those. We did all the tech together, which made the koha-thon in April was a big learning experience for both Jason and I. But it really helped a lot when it came to the conference in the fall. And that was most of what I remember from 2020.
One thing I remember was because at that time, all of a sudden there was this Zoom bombing thing, and
I got dogs.
And that happened to Lizette in the middle of a general meeting, I think, where there was highly inappropriate things all of a sudden being blasted very loud in the middle of our meeting. And she definitely handled it.
And also the chat someone put,
yes.
was like repeatedly put in my address and phone number and stuff, which they cut out of the recording and things. So yeah, that was very exciting. I think we just kicked them as soon as
yeah, it was within a matter of moments.
Yeah.
You kept your cool.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And even with everything that happened, like being president, like everyone else has said, like you learn a lot, and it's not as scary as it seems like it's gonna be, especially being the vice president the year before. Like you kind of get to see that like running the minute meetings is probably the most stressful part of it.
It's not running the conference.
No, I guess it might be running the conference, especially because we did a split track in Pueblo that year, and that was a lot. or when I was vice president. But most of the like day-to-day stress is probably the running both the general and board meetings and just making sure you've got all your ducks in a row for that. So, and after me was Rhonda.
Who's not from Idaho.
I am not from Idaho, no. So I took over after Lizette's term expired, and it was a stretch for me. Let's just say that. And I guess the thing, learning to force myself to be more organized. Still not there yet, but working on it. But just getting the minutes together ahead of time so other people knew what was going to be happening and things like that. And then the conference when I was president was in McKinney, and we had some interesting stuff going on at that time. It was the first conference after the pandemic. It wasn't a real well-attended conference because people were still not sure if they wanted to come, and there was some fluffle about it being in Texas. But we worked through that. And I think getting to meet with the people that in this community and just getting to work with the koha community. Everybody's so supportive and helpful, and you can ask questions, and it's a responsibility, but you've got people to back you up. So I think that was the learning thing for me, that it's a community. So then
you convinced Barbara to do it.
Then I convinced Barbara, and she still says things to me. So I was, involved in going to the monthly meetings, going to SIG meetings and all that kind of stuff, but I wasn't really ever considering taking a role. And so then Rhonda sent me an email and said, "You would make a great vice president." And I thought, I don't want to do that. But then I kept thinking about it and just kept kind of mulling it over. And I thought, oh, no, maybe I could do it. So I kind of let it sit for a while, and I finally just decided to go ahead and do it. And then I watched, that first year as vice president. It's kind of like, okay. And then when it came around for my year as president, 2022, what I recall is it's like, okay, I've been to enough conferences, I think I could do this. And that was a year in which KohaCon was going to potentially be in the United States, and nobody else stepped up to do it. So the board was all like, we should do this. We'd already started planning the conference in Lawrence, but we should make that a koha-US supported KohaCon conference. And I was thinking, oh, that sounds really large and complicated, but it was really good. And I think doing these kinds of things, this is not my normal comfort zone, but I learned a lot. I learned to stretch myself. I made stronger connections to a lot of the people in this room, stronger connections to people at Bywater. And so I am thankful for Rhonda's push. And I also leaned on Christopher, who had been through it before, and he was a good nudge for lots of different things, and he would kind of help point me in the right direction. And so you do have a lot of support. You're not alone when you do this kind of thing.
And then, as mentioned, then Christopher was president, and then now I am. You get it. Oh, wait, we get an encore performance.
I earned my time up here. I just wanted to add, the people that have come up through the ranks and become president, or even just somewhere on the board. I've seen a lot of people come in nervous. I've encouraged a lot of people to step out of their comfort zone to do some things on the board. And I have seen a lot of growth in these people that have served on the board. So, you know, and I hear people talking about, oh, it was stressful, and this part was stressful or whatever, but like Barbara said, we have a good team. We have a lot of people that are supportive and a lot of people to lean on. We have an outgoing president to lean on, so you're not alone. And I have seen that growth, and I have seen so much change in people that have done this. And, you know, I've seen it in myself, but, you know, it's just really enjoyable to see it. And, you know, it isn't that bad when you're in it. Again, we're there for you. You know, we're a family that helps each other. And, you know, while they say this looks scary, I think, you know, once you're in it, once you're going through it, you know, it gets better. But so don't let the people saying that it's stressful scare you from stepping out and trying it, because again, you're not alone.
And I will note that both Rhonda and Barbara and Christopher, who have gone through this process and ran a conference, are still on the conference committee, still very active, still very helpful. So, and we get contributions from others as well. George obviously he's our chat monitor and spokesperson. So we get a lot of help. And then we talked about other open positions, but it's not just president, vice president, those other board members, and then non-board members, just other members of the community that help all contribute to this. I just want to say my memory was going back to Lawrence, where and I said this before, but I really enjoyed the conference and being part of a team of people that was doing something pretty cool. So that's when my term was coming up as member supported, and I decided, yeah, I want to do more of this. I want to work with Christopher and help him do the next one, and then continue to be involved. So that was a good memory for me, and my hope is that capitalizing some of those good feelings hopefully exist in this conference as well, and people find a place where they can contribute and put something into the community. But I promise you'll get a lot out as well as you put things into it. Okay, so we are right on time to have a little open forum where we talk bug issues and those type of things. So, and also I have gotten Jesse to agree if there's anybody that has any questions about the upgrade, that they can speak to that as well during this time. So what bugs do you want to highlight? What issues do you want to talk about?
This happens at every conference. When it comes time for this, nobody wants to talk. Don't bring that over to me. I don't want to talk.
Sure. All right, we have a volunteer.
There you go.
I'm gonna mention the same thing Andrew had mentioned for me earlier. In the crowdsourcing, there's a dev and I don't know what bug it is off the top of my head, to sort the enumcron in a more natural way. You know, you'd have 100, 112, like that. So a lot of people might benefit from that, public and academics. So, you know, take a look at it. Fiscal year is coming up, you got a little extra money, budget, you know, nice.
Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, if you're not in the database all the time, enumcron is this issue ID. So like when you're looking at your serials, it's which issue of the serial that is. And yeah, like publishers make that a complicated string that Koha currently doesn't have any great idea how to sort in actually like the order your issue should go in. If you're not like issues 1 through 10, it is bug number 25395. I don't know if my weird announcer voice made that harder to understand.
And I will say, when we record these meetings, and we also have notes that our secretary Christy puts together, and all the bugs are all captured in that, so you can review them.
I have a clarification question on the enumcron sorting. So it definitely doesn't do enumcron sorting very well. If we got it to sort that better, would it be able to then sort the call number according to numbers better? Like the ones where they're like combo letter number?
Included in that development, that's based on. That's work.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so okay, different.
Theoretically, you should be able to get it to sort by call number rationally now, I think. I mean, if your call numbers are rational, that's a big if.
And I will just shamelessly plug a development for, we touched on it in the straw poll, but where we can get the linked accounts to be more linked, meaning not only from an address standpoint, but when we're dealing with fines or restrictions or anything else that's going to a household, in other words, a guarantor and their guarantees, I spend an inordinate amount of time going into each individual account because mom realizes that, oh, my card's blocked, but I'll go ahead and circumvent the rules and the policy by letting little Johnny's card continue this bad habit. So it's a crowdfunding development. We have our library has contributed to it already. I would love to see others contribute to that as well. Even if it's only $50, that's $50 more towards the development. It doesn't seem to be a huge development, but it's a significant one. And I would love to shamelessly plug that.
If we all pledge $50, it'll be a fun prank on the billing for Bywater to have to deal with that.
That's bug 31329.
31329 is Volley's bug about updating linked cards.
I am also going to mention something that is on the crowdfunding page, and it is there at my request, and it just went up like yesterday. It is called Compare Elasticsearch to Database. It should offer a way to fix discrepancies. And I know that Elasticsearch and reindexing is not sexy. It's probably about, well, it's probably about as sexy as an enumcron. Should we change match that too? But in your stat client, if your search index is off, you will be able to see on your About Koha page, your Elastic index does not match the database count. But you can't do anything about it except contact your support person to re-index it. So I am supporting it or advocating for a development that would allow libraries to do something about their Elasticsearch not matching the database and be able to fix when their search indexes are not aligned.
What's the bug on that?
36365.
And bonus plug, I'm going to talk about re-indexing at koha-con. It'll be really fun.
Yes,
I have not memorized the URL. There we go. And I will mention that we've redesigned our workflow around how development works, in the a little bit over a year ago. So we are using this. So if we have our selections for this next vote, but for next year, if there's something that you hope that koha-US will contribute to, or anybody, because anybody could do it, get it on the work with Bywater to get it on this page. That just helps us a lot because you can speak to somebody at Bywater that can help craft the scope of what you're doing and get an actual quote. Makes a big difference instead of just having an idea for us to have an idea of what that might cost and what specifically your idea is going to do to Koha.
And maybe start that conversation sooner rather than later. It can take a little while to get a quote out of Bywater if they're backlogged. I expect them won't be mad at me for saying that.
Well, the item search is really making sense.
Yesterday, we brought up the purchase suggestion, granular permissions or permissions. And I said I'd get the vote for that. That is going to be 112267, and it looks like that should be in the 2411 release. So if you're looking forward to more permissions on purchase suggestions, that's coming in 2411.
Just curious, raise of hands, who here has, at their library or organization has sponsored a bug that has gotten into the code? So a lot that haven't, and collaborating with other libraries is a great way to get that price point down for your particular library. So you can get the thing you really like into a future release, but not have to pay the full freight for it.
Well, that's a good question. How many people have done work with another library?
How many people have worked with another library on a development? So a few fewer hands, but still a number of hands coming up. All right, any last bugs that somebody wants to highlight before we break for lunch? I'm not seeing anything. I know Christopher has one.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's last thing.
I was trying to get into my emails to see if I can look this up, but I had just worked with Nick at Bywater. We've done some testing on our test server because I had heard, and I cannot remember the term for the life of me, but we were noticing some weird searches in Koha, particularly with words that were plural. If you searched, I can't remember if you looked for the plural version, you couldn't find the item, or if it was reversed. But there was something that was pointed out to me that Plaque did, and I had inquired about it, and apparently Elasticsearch does it. And so Nick turned something on the test server, and it was a huge improvement with the searching, because patrons don't always know if the word is plural or not, or different versions of the word. So this made a huge improvement. And so we're in the process of getting that turned on our production server. I don't think we're there yet, but everybody that looked at it on the test server loved it. So it was good. So I would encourage you to inquire with Nick about that, because that could be an improvement for your patrons, and less frustrating when you can't find something exactly right. It gets one step closer to dummy proofing the searching.
What I just heard is call Bywater and ask for Nick.
Yes, ask for Nick.
All right, well, that concludes the general meeting. Thank you for your attention. I really would encourage everyone to try to make the meetings they can in future general meetings. The more people we have, the more robust the discussion it is. So thank you very much. And Ron is going to give us a local announcement.
Yeah, so for the people that are here, the Round Rock Library Friends Group, has purchased a 10th anniversary cake. So we will have that after lunch. We didn't want to spoil your lunch. So it will be available after lunch and, just so that you taste yourself. But yeah, there'll be a 10th anniversary party when we get back.
All right, we will resume at 1:15.